Hey, welcome to Hidden Indie Gems, where we embark on a journey into the vibrant world of indie gaming. Join me as we delve into the creative minds behind current and future indie games, uncovering what sets each one apart and makes it truly extraordinary. Today I got a chance to talk to Alan Gabard. He's a game developer over at Positive Concept Games. We talked about their upcoming game, Shrine's Legacy. In this game, you'll traverse a vast overworld and engage in real-time battles with a comprehensive combat system. As a heroic duo, one companion will always assist you, whether managed by the game or by a friend in co-op mode. Now, this podcast has no sponsors and is 100% audience funded. If you want to support my creative work, you can buy me a coffee using the link in the description. Every dollar makes a huge difference. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Tell me a little bit about Positive Concept Games and how y'all came together.
Oh, Positive Concept. So years ago when I was in high school, Positive Concept was kind of a high school garage band that I was part of. I was the keyboardist at the time. But that kind of fell apart and disbanded. But I liked the name. So when my now best friend Joseph Duke approached me in high school to make a video game, we needed a name for our group, and I always liked the name Positive Concept. So eventually, in 2020, we established Positive Concept Games, and it's just been a legal entity ever since 2020. So yeah, I mean, that's where it came from. It started out as a high school garage band.
That's so cool. I haven't heard of many bands, music bands that become game development companies. So that's cool.
Yeah, we're both into music. We're both musicians. My friend Joseph, he's more of a musician than I am. He's actually the composer for our game.
Yeah, I heard a little bit of the music, man. It really hits the spot. It's just really good. Really good. I'm a composer myself, so man, I really appreciate a good, like, especially when he hits all those retro sounds and just gets them right. It's good.
It was going to be a more orchestral sounding soundtrack at first, but eventually Joe decided that it would be better if it sounded more SNES-like. So yeah, I think in the demo you can switch between the orchestral and the SNES style, but in the full game there's only going to be SNES. There's not going to be an orchestral option.
Let's talk about the game now. So tell me, what kind of game is Shrine's Legacy?
Shrine's Legacy is a 2D pixel art co-op action fantasy RPG. You can also play it single player, and the AI controls the second player. It is very reminiscent of classic games like The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, The Secret of Mana games. It's a Soul Blazer trilogy, Terra Enigma, Illusion of Gaia. So games like that.
Title that came to mind because I was recently playing it. It was Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I get that. We get that a lot, and it surprises me because we aren't really going for Chrono Trigger vibes, but people think that a lot that when they see our game. They also see Stardew Valley. I don't get it at all. Like I don't we okay. In like 2020 when we unveiled our game, our character sprites were not as good as they are now. And they looked a lot more like Stardew Valley because that was kind of the main influence at the time. But we shifted away from that. We had like professional pixel artists come in and fix up the graphics for the characters, and I don't think it looks like Stardew Valley at all anymore. But we still get that. But yeah, I'm always flattered when we're compared to Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is my second favorite Chrono Trigger is my favorite Super Nintendo game. Excuse me.
So tell me a little bit about how y'all came up with the idea of Shrine's Legacy and how you got to the point you are today with the game.
When we were in high school, some years ago, my friend Joe, he approached me and asked, because I was a writer in high school, he asked me to come up with a story and concept for a game. And I pitched this childhood story I had told to my brother when we were kids. So I would like make up stories and I would tell my brother. And I had one story called The Sword of Shrine. And I pitched that idea because I wanted a simpler concept to begin with. You know, main hero has to restore the Sword of Shrine to um, save the world, basically. And that was the basic premise initially. But the current premise is the two main heroes have to journey to restore the Sword of Shrine to its true power so that they can defeat the villain Ackler. It became what it is today with a top-down Zelda style view in about 2016 is when that started. So I would say the development for this version of the game began in 2016, and we released our demo in 2020, and then had a successful Kickstarter in 2021, and then it's just been snowballing into looking better and better since then.
One of the main features that stuck out to me is the fact that you can play it in co-op mode. What are some other mechanics? So tell me a little bit more about the co-op mechanic, but then tell me a little bit more about things that you can do in the game.
So basically, everything player one can do, player two can do. They can talk to NPCs, they can go to other rooms, they can open treasure chests, fight enemies. We really felt when we began development that there wasn't enough RPGs that let you play in a co-op mode. Yeah, there was like Secret of Mana, and there's some other exceptions, like the Tales of series lets you play in co-op, but not enough. Not enough, really. And turn-based is a big one. I don't understand why more turn-based games aren't co-op, because Final Fantasy VI can let you play in co-op, and Final Fantasy IX lets you play in co-op, and I think it's great. Yeah, you can't both control the character on the overworld, but in combat you can both control the party, and I think that's really cool. And I wish more turn-based RPGs would do that. So that was the big motivator for the co-op mode. Of course, we had to program things in a certain way, like who initiates the cutscene first, who's going to press the button to make the text go whenever, who starts the cut. So basically, whoever starts the cutscene first is the one who has to press the button. That's how it's programmed. We had to think about stuff like that. But I'm glad we figured it out all early on, because I think it's a really solid co-op aspect. Another big mechanic of the game, I would say the big hook of the game, is the magic system, the spells. So you use magic in real time. A big reason why I tell people, even though it looks like an action RPG, 50% of Shrine's Legacy's DNA is Zelda, because the magic works essentially like Link's tools work. Yes, you do have an MP wheel. You have an MP system in the game, so you only have so much magic you can use. So you have to be strategic with how you use it. But you can also use it to solve puzzles in the overworld, in the dungeons, as well as use the magic in combat. And puzzles are not very common in RPGs, not like Zelda style puzzles anyway. So we very much have Zelda style puzzles that you have to use magic for. And I can't think of a game where you use magic in real time to solve too many puzzles. Well, exclusively magic. I can't think of too many, so I think that's a unique draw. But it's also important for combat, and enemies do have elemental weaknesses. And of course, like I mentioned, you got your MP that you got to pay attention to. So it's very much an RPG, but also, a little more action, a little more Zelda-like.
I'm playing Twilight Princess right now, originally for the GameCube, and you get the first tool you get, main tool you get is the Gale Boomerang, I think is what it's called. And so that one's kind of magic.
A little bit. It doesn't use any MP though. Yeah, I love Twilight Princess. Until I played Breath of the Wild, it was my favorite Zelda. If we're talking like traditional Zelda games, I like dungeons, tools. I think Twilight Princess is my favorite. I know it's like not as popular these days. Oh, the graphics didn't age well, blah blah blah. I think it has the best story. I think it has the best dungeon design in any of the Zelda games. Um, Minda is the best character in the whole series. Period. I love Twilight Princess.
Let's say the game's out and, a few people have their hands on the game, what are you hoping they're telling their friends about it?
That is something you can play with your friends and family and your loved ones. Really. What I really want to see is like, I would, after the game's launched, I would love to see more couples, like wife and husband or boyfriend girlfriend, playing the game together on stream, because that's just if I can make something that brings people together romantically, let's that's just really that's just really cool to me. I mean, I would tell my friends and family that it's just, hey, this is something you can play with your friends and loved ones. So, um, like together at the same time. So, and that's a big draw to me personally. I think a lot of our games in the future will try to slip in some co-op aspects. Some of them will be single player. I think our next game is going to be a single player game. It's going to be a much smaller scale project too. Um, but I don't know, maybe we've talked about doing co-op, but my best friend and I, Joe, we play a lot of games co-op and or not co-op, excuse me. We play a lot of games together, single player, like we take turns. And a lot of times it's like, man, I wish this game had co-op aspect. So.
Where can the podcast listeners go learn more about the game?
You can go to find where we primarily update regularly. You can go to on twitter.com. I guess it's called x.com now. We're our handle is at Shrines Legacy, all one word. If you want to play the demo for the game, if you want to see the game itself, go to Steam and look up Shrines Legacy, and that's apostrophe S, Shrines Legacy. And you can wish list the game, and wish listing it would be really helpful to us right now. Yeah, we're also on Facebook. I think we're on Instagram too, but we don't get much traffic on Instagram, unfortunately.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right, no problem. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss a single episode. Leave a review, share with your friends. See you next time.